Tom Fels from the Machine Agency, a very warm welcome to the Red Zone. It is good to have you with us. This very grand thing called brand engagement and the changes that it's undergoing in the modern era. What are the radical changes that you're starting to see?
Well, Jeremy, thanks for having me, first of all. I think you have to start by understanding how consumerism is changing. If you look over the past few decades, there were fewer products, fewer channels, and ultimately less choice. And that meant advertisers could often just broadcast messages with really informative messages, and that kind of did the trick for a long time. But now, we're in an era of unrivaled choice in both channels, in products, and in information. And as a result of it, people have put up a screen to effectively block all of those messages. And it means that we've gone from this information age to a participation age, and brands having to work a hell of a lot harder to break through the clutter and really resonate with people.
But brands often don't know how to do that, do they? Where do they typically make their mistakes?
Well, I think it's often as a result of a lack of appreciation for real insights into a consumer. And the type of generic approach that some, especially big and main market brands, tend to do, because you have to reach the masses. And what they do there is they compromise by reaching the masses. Actually, you don't really talk to anyone really deeply. And so from that point of view, you're sort of left with trying to be everything to every person, and you end up being no one to no one.
So what do marketers need to do then in order to recalibrate that thinking to become more sharp focused?
Well, I think the first is a commitment to really understand the consumer. It's about researching and trying to find that key nugget, that passion point of resonance, and really trying to leverage it. And then trying to create platforms which enable you to be always on, to engage with conversations.
But it's not just one passion point, it's not just one nugget. And that's the problem, isn't it? That these days, as messaging has become more ubiquitous, that nugget itself has been split. It becomes incrementally more difficult for a marketer to actually determine what that one gem is.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And I think the key is to find an authentic link between brand and consumer. And when you get that nugget right and you get the brand link right, every brand's got a story. If you can marry the brand story with something that really rings true for a consumer, then you're onto a magic formula.
Is that really what it is, though, or is there more to it than that?
Well,
you've just got to find the story. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think there's a story, and then it's how you tell it. So, I think the way that technology has just exploded over the past decade, even. If you look at all the top sort of interaction channels, didn't exist 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And what they've enabled is an anytime, real-time conversation with people. So if you open up a channel for dialogue and you're actually committed to conducting that dialogue and to partnering with people, suddenly you start to collaborate, to co-create, and that really is the heart of the new world.
Tom, what about the nature of the dialogue itself, given that we live in this ubiquitous, hyper-messaged environment and we're all very time poor? Has the tonality and the language of that brand conversation been forced to change?
Absolutely.
If so, how is it? Is everything defined, for instance, in 140 characters these days?
Well, in many cases it is. You look at the explosion of social media and the feeling that brands need to be on social media. It certainly is a channel, because it is real-time, instant, and the kind of value it generates when people understand that you're listening and not only broadcasting. That is when the new world of marketing really comes to life. And I think it's a combination of channel and story. So a story well told in the right channel suddenly becomes much more powerful.
Who's getting this right?
Well, locally, you look at the likes of FNB, who've seamlessly integrated technology into their offering and innovation. And kind of as first movers in that space in the banking sector, they've leapt almost miles ahead, and everyone's playing catch up. And I think what's important to note is, once something's done, for anyone else to match it, it means that they're just doing what's expected. Take
me one step back. You say that they have married technology into that brand communication. Yeah. In what respect are they doing that? I mean, is it about giving me a free iPad when I join, or is it a bit more than that?
No, it's a culture. For me, technology can't be an add-on; it has to be a part of your philosophy, and it's about innovation. So technology as a piece of hardware is useless, unless you're using it in a relevant way. And they've managed to do that, and I think they've, over the past 2-3 years, really stepped up on the innovation front. But using technology as a powerful leveraging tool.
Okay, FNB, you also make the point that South African breweries gets this right.
Yeah, I
But
think
it's a very different tactical approach, though, isn't it?
Yeah, South African breweries, look, they work extremely hard to understand the consumer, and they target the right occasions with the right drinkers. And that's why you see, such brand love for their brands. The iconic, so many iconic brands, and it's difficult in a big stable to have so many brands find a niche and really own it. And they work very hard to understand how the consumers move along different pathways. Their media planning is kind of considerate of the fact that someone from the townships might be in Sandton the next night. And how do you talk to that guy? Because he might be in a different frame of mind. How do you activate there? They're incredibly smart in how they go to market to capitalize on those different occasions and to leverage their brand differently wherever their consumer and their brand might meet.
All right, so it's all about conversation.
A lot of it's about conversation.
So if it's mostly about conversation, what you're also going to tell me, or not, is that I don't need traditional advertising anymore. I can eschew the billboard. I can say radio is of no use to me. That big 30-second television commercial is a waste of money.
An interesting question. I think there's always a place for good traditional advertising.
But what's the ratio of the place is what you need to address.
Well, there's an interesting thought here that I've sort of read up on recently is actually flipping the conversion funnel. So, you start with your mass media talking to the mass audience. You flip your conversion funnel, suddenly you're talking to the 5% who actually care. Use them as advocates and then use mass media to amplify. So mass media still has a place, but perhaps our approach to how we use mass media needs to change.
What's the next big thing in the next 18 months? What does the future hold here? Do you know what it is?
I think the way that big data is going to play a role in us understanding actual consumer behavior and the way it's applied to shopper programs and retail is going to be very, very powerful. And it's going to allow us to segment consumers like never before and really, truly understand them, not just qualitatively, but quantitatively, to create real profiles for people that we can then engage in the right occasions, through the right channels, and put the right offers together.
All right, so there's a final one. If I'm a brand manager, don't invest in an ad agency, go and invest in a great data management organization or good data management people. Is that what you're telling me?
I think data without the magic of advertising is dead.
I think that's a good answer. Tom Fels, thank you very much for joining us. Good talking to you.
Thank you very much.